phone call.
Not me. It's recording me. Someone help me out there?
Yeah. I don't experience, we don't want.
Apparently it's holding up. Wow, you're on the camera. So, I just hit the record button. Okay.
I only need 10 copies, so if you guys kind of share, that would be greatly appreciated. So Peter asked me to come talk about a very most exciting topic, RVUs. And what I just wanted to kind of chat about was, I know that you guys really are interested in probably hearing like the business side of medicine. But obviously, you know, at the end of the day, we all have to be able to keep the doors open. And what I wanted to talk to you about was the reality of what your acuity when you're billing RVUs looks like to someone like me. And so I'm a DIA partner to Dr. Vadian. And so like John, I'm kind of the numbers, the business person, the administrator. I'm the budget person. And I know that there's a difference between reality versus what the numbers are saying sometimes. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about was what your numbers are saying, because we've been putting a lot of pressure on Peter and Phil to make an improvement and we're just kind of not seeing it. So he thought it might help if I came and just kind of talk to you guys about what it looks like when other people at Sound look at your data. So in Sound, we have 171 acute care hospitals. So I took out like all the post-acute, all the LTACs, all of that. At St. Mary's, your billing acuity is 144 out of 171 hospitals. So when we look at what you're billing, you're in pretty much the last group of hospitals. So it looks like your patients just aren't, you don't have to spend as much time with your patients because your patients aren't very sick. Yeah, I know. So I was like, what? So that's kind of what I wanted to just kind of tell you. That's part of what we look at. So you have acuity, which is like your CMI, so that's your like DRG with your comorbids and all that, but this is your billing acuity. So if you're billing like level 1, level 2, level 3, your follow-ups, level 1, level 2. So when I looked at this for the month of June, of the 171 hospitals ranked, number 1 is best, most acute, you know, number 171 is last. You guys are coming in 144. So that's like well beyond or below the like bottom 25th percentile. Now I know that's not true, right? I know that you guys don't have like the healthiest patients out of a lot of the hospitals, because when I look at DePaul, DePaul scores at 85 out of 171. So basically, when we just look at that, the way the numbers translate is DePaul's patients are essentially twice as sick as your guys are. So is that true? Because I would assume they're about the same. Like it's probably seeing the same level of acuity at both places. So basically, what it turns into from a program standpoint is we are losing about $38,000 a month from this program based on your billing acuity, which is equivalent to 25 physician shifts. So right now we're going through budgeting. We did it this week, and what we could potentially be at risk for is saying the docs here aren't as busy as the docs at other places. They're seeing patients that aren't as sick as other places. We have to increase the number of patients they're seeing. Like so, somebody at DePaul or at St. Mary's should be able to see 20 patients versus somebody at DePaul who maybe should only be seeing 14. We're not doing that, but I kind of want to tell you guys from a business standpoint, like these are the things that people look at. So if you look, we have a huge opportunity here at your follow-up. So that's why I handed this out. You guys have all seen this before, right? So if you look at like your F1, your F2, your F3, what the general assumption is that if you bill an F1, that's equivalent to about 15 minutes of care. If you bill an F2, that's equivalent to about 25 minutes of care. If you bill an F3, that's equivalent to 35 minutes of care. Now, the code doesn't require you to spend time, it's not, but when Sound looks at that, we just kind of say, okay, if a physician works a 12-hour shift, assume they take some breaks, they're here for 11 hours, and they do all follow-ups. We take the 11 hours, we divide it by 25 minutes, or the 15 minutes, or the 35 minutes. This is how many patients they should be seeing. So when we looked at your data, you guys are coming in at 26 patients a provider. And there's no way you guys can see 26 patients. Where if you look at like the Pauls, they're coming in at around 18 patients a provider. So I just wanted to, like, Peter and Phil, myself, John, Nadine, when we're working on these things every single day, making sure you're dropping your charges, making sure you're billing acuity where it should be. And you can actually see the Sound distribution of where all of Sound is billing that month. So it'll actually change month to month based on acuity. So obviously, like, when you're seeing patients in January, it tends to be different than July. You can kind of see where your team is, and you can kind of see where you are. The reason we're doing this is because we want you to take credit for the time and the sickness that you're spending with your patients. That's truly where it's coming from, is if you're making these complex medical decisions, you're spending time with the patients, you're looking at lab values, you're doing all of these things, take credit for that. Because right now, it's looking like, when you just look at the data, it looks like a day here should be a walk in the park every single day. Like, your patients aren't very sick. You're, not seeing very many patients. Like, this would look like a fantastic, easy place to work. And I know that it's not really like that here.
Of course, it's fantastic.
I mean, yeah, of course the environment is great. But what I don't want to do is, like, come next year because we struggled with volume here. Like, I don't want to, like, look at, like, are we going to have to reduce staff? Because I can't argue that your patients are any sicker because the data is not reflecting that. Any questions? Yes.
Now, do you do revenue per encounter? Because sometimes I see patients that I cannot charge because they are seen in the morning. So
are you dropping a Y bill or Y code? So your Y code is one I would say always put in a Y code, because I had a site who actually wasn't even putting in Y codes, and so they were trying to make this argument they were seeing all these patients, and we couldn't justify it because they weren't even putting them in Sound Connect. But yes, that's taken into account. So we always look at the number of non-billable codes, and all those patients are excluded. So your discharges are going really good. So you guys are definitely getting credit for your discharges. It's those follow-up codes. And I don't know if you can see, like, so Sound averages about 45% of their charges are follow-up codes. You guys are coming in just under 70%. That's going to be a huge opportunity for you. So if you guys look at your follow-up codes, if you seem to be an outlier in that, your template should be good, right? Compliance has already looked at your templates. As long as you're using the templates in Sound, you guys should be good, covered from that. We have pretty much, like, drilled this into Peter's head of, like, we've got to get the acuity up. We've got to get the acuity up because financially it's going to significantly impact the program. He's very well versed in it, I promise. So, like, if you're struggling, if you don't know what to do, like, he can definitely help you. We have a compliance specialist with the signs. Shar, right? Shar for here. They're really good, but this is something that is kind of crucial to the financial health of the program, and Peter just said, like, hey, since you're going to be down here this week, we just talk to the docs and the providers about it so they kind of understand why it is so important for us.
This ties into getting billing done on time, because that, a lot of this is tied to staffing. I know, census goes up high, everyone's, like, stressed out, but it's like, we have the data to support the, getting more staffing, our hands are tied. So that means getting your charges in, because it's based on 7 a.m. census, so it's got to be done.
And I think maybe you said they thought you were missing 18 charges here from yesterday. That's one doc. That's one physician. 18 charges is one physician. And so, is that my phone? God, will you turn it off? If it says mother, you might not want it. But when we look at that stuff, that's kind of why, like, if we miss 18 charges a day, I'm assuming yesterday was just a crazy day or something, but say if you make that routine, you miss 18 charges a day, that's one trip we have to cut. And so every kind of one of those charges count. And we really hammer home to them, like, if your nocturnists are here, and then you guys work nights, get as many charges in before midnight. We don't want all those non-billable. So if you see the patient before midnight, but maybe you don't document till 2 a.m., make sure you document. You saw the patient before midnight and move your data service back, because we're losing charges that way. But yeah, it's definitely a huge deal, and it's definitely something we focus on a lot. And I know that you guys aren't 144th worst in town, so I just need your help in making that argument. Yeah.
Do you think people are underbilling the acuity? I think
yes, absolutely.
Sometimes people are just, they just terrorize you, you go overbill, you go overbill, and I think some people are underbilling.
Yeah, I definitely think, and that's what you can see it right here. So if you look at the sound distribution, this is where sound is billing overall. So so in the month of June, sound had just about 500,000 encounters. So all of sound in the month of June dropped 500,000 encounters. Sound 45% of all follow-ups were level 2. Here, almost 70% of all follow-ups
And
were level 2.
you also have to consider, we're not saying we should be where everyone's sound, because some sound hospitals have open ICU where,
I have one program we do admissions only, and so we're actually number 1. But all utilization, so it's really good. It's not very there.
Yeah, the point is, compared to 45 or 70, it's huge.
Compared to DePaul, DePaul coming in at at 80 cents, you guys are at 140. I think you're in the same city, you have the same services. Your acuity should be fairly similar to each other.
How is the compliance going on with people? When they audit our notes to see if it is appropriate, when it is going good or
There's no work there.
that is.
It's
Maybe you probably knows more about it.
Yeah, I
They've actually done really well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't seen it. It's all about your template, and have you been audited yet?
Yeah. I think everyone.
Did you do pretty good?
89%.
Okay.
But I failed.
A lot of times it's your documentation, right? It's like, did you document like the family history, the social history, all of those types of things? It's the documentation, it's not your actual note.
I think
if people get scared off.
On the family and the social.
Yes, it's like, and people get very scared off. We actually see this across. So auditing will come through to do their friendly reminders, and we'll see a program just like full tank, because everybody starts to get really freaked out. So they all start, like, if I just fill all level 2s, then I'll be safe. That's actually, you can trigger, I've had people trigger Medicare audits because they're billing all level 2s. Because they look at, all hospitals in St. Louis are billing like this, why are you billing just straight level 2s across the board? Like, you should be billing all over the place. So, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. We'll jump in. All right, we already said welcome. We'll kind of go through some quicker. Reminders, we're covering up golf service end of August. Last time we talked about this, July 24th is a mandatory transitional care workshop. This is the only date that we can get basically our regional PMO, vice president of operations, and our regional transitional care all come into St. Louis on this one time. Just like the stars were aligned. And so they're going to be coming to our site from 4 to 5. So it is something that everyone needs to come and attend. Sunshine Awards, we talked about this last time. Continue sending nominations. Anyone, diabetes educators, dietitians, food delivery, environmental services, nurses, case manager, anyone involved in patient care in a hospital, nominate, so keep sending them in. Next meeting, August 15th. All right, so kudos, Dr. Patil and Shami. I didn't notes. Alex also helps out, so thank you both. So, it's, you know, especially when we have really,
It's like.
it is, I mean, yeah, no, that had that thing, I was already gone, I didn't realize that. But, yeah, I mean, we all have family emergencies, so it's nice that we can all help out with each other. And, you know, I know everyone here appreciates that, so thank you to everyone. Well, we were going to have the documentation people come, but I don't know if they're coming or later, or, you know, we'll find out. All right, Dr. Ambalou, come on up. All right. Give us some words of encouragement and inspiration. Yeah. What do you want to do? Oh,
You're better as a speaker.
yeah. I'll be the same. No one called it.
So I just wanted to say a few things about patient experience. So I want to start by simply defining patient experience. It's defined as the sum of all interactions that influence the patient's perception across the continuum of care. So the key word here is perception. So sometimes most of the time patients come in, we practice evidence-based medicine, we discharge them home, but they don't perceive that within themselves. So the point is, we want to get credit for all the good work that's done. And the way patient experience is measured is when patient gets discharged, there's third-party vendors that call patients, and specifically, they ask communication questions with doctors. In the doctor section of the HCAHPS one. And the three main questions that he asked. First one is, during the hospital stay, how often does the doctor treat you with cortical care? The other one is, how often does the doctor listen to you carefully? In this two domains, I think we do well, pretty much. But the last domain is, how often does the doctor explain things in a way you could understand? This has been a bottleneck for us for a while now. We've been trying to improve. The question is, why is patient experience? Why is it so important to us? Well, the first thing is financial and monetary. With the introduction of value-based purchasing concept a couple of years ago by CMS, CMS set a threshold of 80% for each provider or the group to get money back. So on all the questions I just mentioned, we have to get 80% or above. That's what it is that CMS. So if we get 80%, the hospital starts getting money back. The hospital gets money back. Potentially, we get more subsidy. Potentially, which could increase.
If your reviews go up.
Yeah.
People staffing.
Hospital becomes more stable, and everyone's happy. The other thing is that it improves patient experience and quality of care, and really is the right thing to do. So far, what we've done to improve patient experience is we have the monthly bedside shadow with Chief Emerson with immediate feedback. We also have the MDR 2.0, which kind of integrated patient experience to the work. The two areas that I think needs improvement for all of us as a group is one, managing up team members, which includes consultants, case managers, social workers, nurses, everyone. Two is giving business cards to patients. First time we see them, and on discharge, we emphasize that you have business cards. Three is sitting down in the room when possible. So sometimes that's best we get. Yeah, we don't want to. So when people, sometimes the chair is like funny located. It's like a different angle and it's weird just sitting down because you have to sit down. It's like you can't see because the way the room is small and the desk is angulated and stuff. But when possible, sit if you can. And the last thing is utilization of the whiteboard. So where you write your name and get a discharge, go to the space, Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
What are you doing different? But we are all doing.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I've watched a lot of y'all, and it's. I mean, I've seen individual feedback, to each of you, but it's tough. I mean, we have a tough patient population. I know I've talked to y'all about the number of surveys. I think it's a big, uphill battle. But even with that said, there are some providers who are high patient experience providers and others who are not. So even though we all have the same patient population. So it's just, like you said, simple things, managing up, sitting down, humanize the whole experience. And I always say if anyone wants to maybe burst out, see someone who's always performs well, you want to see how they work in the room. I mean, let myself know, I can kind of point you in the direction of who to see. I think it's a good learning opportunity for people. Yeah.
I have a site therapist in Indiana who literally is the nicest guy ever, and he was the worst for a whole year. And he would say I don't know what else to do. I've seen nothing. I just want to see this. And so I said, just sit down. Every time you go in a room, sit down in the room. And now he's the top performing out there. And he says I didn't change anything. I didn't change the way I talk to them. I don't talk to them any longer. I sit in the room now, and that's all I've done. So if you don't sit, I promise if you try it, it'll probably make a big difference.
Yeah, it's all about the session.
If our teacher is there 40% older,
right.
We need to sit down.
Yeah.
There's a barrier here to find it.
Yeah.
I'll buy you a stool.
We joked around about the sound stools. That was isolation.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't feel like sitting.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. Transitional care. We get Johannes come up and talk. All right.
All right, so as the transitional care champion, I'm just here to remind us to continue to focus on specifically the next side of care where we're sending our patients, whether that be home, or to skilled, or to long-term care, or to hospice. I guess the number one kind of mantra that I've noticed among case management we're working is we're looking at the patient and asking them questions like, do you have someone at home 24 hours a day? And if not, if the answer is no, then they'll automatically, you're not fit to go home. You have to go to skilled nursing facility. That's not necessarily true. That can often actually be wrong in many cases. We have people, case managers in the skilled nursing facilities who are following some of these patients, particularly, our bundled care, Medicare patients. Hearing reports back of patients who are being readmitted even from the skilled nursing facilities. So it didn't, really do them any good. We're thinking that we're sending them there.
I think it's more so because they have very low threshold of sending.
Exactly. I don't know whether it's the easier thing to do, just say, just send them to skilled, get them out the door. But that's not true. So, number one, we should know all of our bundled care patients. We get reports every day from Mary Lou and Katie, who our patients are. I just mark them, put a little square on my list, and carry it over from day to day so that I'm aware of who they are. And then to focus on those patients, to kind of dig a little deeper as far as their history or what their own baseline situation is like. I know that they write, Mary Lou and Katie also write notes on them, so kind of pay attention to those notes because they've already done some of the work for you to help you make a better decision. So, that's the goal. It's not necessarily better for them to go to skilled nursing facility. With just a little extra work, you can get them, home, which oftentimes is a better place for them to go. There are other resources that we don't really know about. I was talking to earlier this morning. They mentioned several different things, from Meals on Wheels to something called the Peregrine Society of St. Louis, which helps cancer patients with a variety of things, from equipment to medications. So it's just a matter of kind of finding out a little bit more information. And the other thing is that when a patient is appropriate for being transferred to a long-term care facility, sometimes that's a little bit, it may take a little bit more time, but it's more appropriate to send them there as opposed to sending them to a skilled nursing facility where we know that it's just a matter of time before they'll be readmitted. I have a patient now, for example, she came in from a nursing home and she came in for hospital-acquired pneumonia, and the facility, I was ready to send her back. The facility said, well, she's not quite back to her baseline as far as her ambulation, so, we want to skill her in our facility instead. So I may be able to keep this patient, I believe, for another maybe day or two and get her back to her baseline where she won't need to be, skilled and send her back. So it may be just a matter of thinking, if I keep this patient a day or two longer, would that improve their situation so that they don't necessarily have to go to a skilled nursing facility? If you, think about where they're going to a place where, they have one RN or maybe not even RN, CNA to 30 patients. So it's not necessarily the safest place. In our mind, we're thinking of someone else taking care of them, this is what we're sending them. But it's not. Their home environment usually is best for them for recovery, particularly with dementia patients, So that's just a little bit on that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so like to keep them one extra day, if not affect the like the duration or length of stay. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that if we keep them one extra day, even if they are stable to be discharged, it will be better for them. But I'm concerned about the length of stay. Not also the insurance, yeah, exactly. Particular night is not covered. Right. Yeah. So that's as you said, it's balance. Yeah. That's good. We need to.
Right, and we're going to talk, coming up, we'll talk more about the home health, some of the models, things that we're doing, maybe make people comfortable sending people home. Okay, fine. I'm going to skip this one. We already discussed this about timeliness of doing the charges. One key thing I didn't mention, if you delay your billing another day, you're most higher likelihood of underbilling because you forget how sick the patient was, the day before. So just kind of keep that in mind also. All right. Mary Lou, Katie, you're up. Let them jump in.
I just wanted to touch base and say, how do you think the checkouts are going? You think they're a little weird. Right, just, kind of get your honest feedback on see the importance of them. Are we missing something that would be helpful? The time right?
For all the patients. We are still in the learning stages,
We are too. That's how we want your feedback.
I might know the medical part of it, but the disposition part of it, you can tweak around things, based on your input, so it's really important.
Yeah, well, we certainly enjoy it. It's nice to also see the medical side of it. And we are looking at the nursing side of the patient. Right. So it is.
I think it's an additional very helpful resource that sometimes we run into these difficult patients with disposition and whatnot, and we come up sometimes with ideas that, they're very complex, and we come up with certain thoughts that we wouldn't have thought of before with the research. We have great case managers, social workers too, but the addition is very helpful, I think, to get things moving faster at times with that additional input on both of these. It's very, very helpful. And if it didn't help for that patient, it helps for another one that.
Because I think the case managers don't really pay much attention to this bundle payment and this and that. So your approach is a little bit different, based on the sound philosophy, which is important. Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that all the data metrics, we are taking care of,
Right.
I might not have as much time to look into it. So, your feedback is very important. I want to incorporate that feedback into the patient.
We can tell a difference now when you're at the MDR, since you've been coming. The way the case managers also, they incorporate that as well in their, when we discuss about the position like that, which was something that we didn't appreciate before. So it's definitely on their radar.
Good. It may not always be very warm and receptive. Right.
Yeah.
But
It's always like time, take time to develop a habit of it.
Right.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, I'm sure you are doing that, but can you guys like come to one MDR at least maybe once a week, or
We go to
like
ER.
one?
We go to the
hospital every day. Oh, okay.
Yeah. 6 MDR huddles,
Yeah,
two
that's
or
what,
two of them.
I think you can alternate maybe one day.
I agree with
You
you.
have an idea in the morning that what patients have some different problems, with patient problems. Yeah, followed by the, so then,
And our thought process is to tend to go to the stores where there's a little dysfunction in the MDR process. Kind of helps.
So that means if you don't see them, you must.
yeah, that's what I do. When we say,
I know sometimes
It's a new rule.
Yeah.
In case managers that, Mary,
I was going to say, I know they also sometimes focus on the floors that have more of the transitional care patients.
Right.
So.
Couple quick questions for you guys. We just want to know if you know what WPAC stands for. You hear us talk about it a lot. Weighted PACU, post-acute care utilization.
I'm forgetting you.
Yeah. Weighted PAC. Why do we care about this? Everybody chime in.
is it post-acute care? There's also diseases who want readmission. Students readmission.
Exactly. We want good follow-up here to make sure we get them the right plan. And then do you happen to know what our rated taxi score was for last month?
You want to cheat, come
Yeah.
apply. But
Yeah.
the reason why I bring this up is it was in the newsletter last week, so we're trying to get a sense, you guys go to read it,
I need you to read it.
The way to post-acute care is kind of a fancy word of do you really know what's happening to your patient when they leave the hospital? Because you're part of that equation, and it is part of the cost for both the provider and the patient. Anyway.
A little excited what we're looking at.
Important to be involved.
Just some of the terminology,
Where you're going.
and we'll go into a little more detail over also.
Yeah.
All right. Not my fun section. Okay. We don't have a Heather here. All right, so these are things we're basically covering. All right, ACP, I know we're all used to Heather's wonderful graph. She's on here on vacation, hope she's having fun. So, the best I can do. So, we're trending up, so it's my little messages. Who is your ACP discussion for today there? We're trending, which is great. And I think last month was our highest. I know it's not here, but from Heather, I think it was our highest one last month. So really, that's awesome. So just keep doing it. I know I've talked to a bunch of you individually, kind of talk about barriers. If there are any particular barriers you want to address, come talk to me. But you guys are doing a great job. So I just want to just kind of remind you to always keep it in your brain.
Peter, we're continuing that trend.
Okay.
I told you.
Okay.
We're up for June.
Yeah, I thought June was our highest. So definitely keep going. Tiffany talked about this earlier, way past you. Back in May, you're all excited, and then it's kind of been, dipping back down. So, I mean, really, it's kind of overall plateaued. And so this is something that Tiffany talked about. Again, it gets into documenting the complexity of the patient and your complexity of the medical decision making. Next month meeting, quarterly, I'm trying to do more education. I know we did that one-time education on the vancomycin and IV narcotics, which I think was beneficial to everyone. So I'm going to try and start at least every quarter, do a little educational thing. All right, MDRs. So I just opened up the floor. I mean, I know, we rolled out the 2.0 MDRs a couple weeks ago. How are things going with that? It's tough in what way?
Because it's the God for surgical, the conscious person doesn't happen in all locations.
Okay. In terms of, I mean, like, you have the huddle, the rounding part, or rounding part, okay. I know sometimes, you know, it's hard to find nurses to come to, I mean, that's still an issue, you know. I mean, that's from talking to all, it's kind of like one of the main feedbacks I hear is, one is no markers, two is getting the nurses to come to the, you know, to the bedside. And had it come up where you call the nurse and they just don't seem interested, or is it that they're just busy? Okay.
The other thing is the whiteboard doesn't have any space to write.
I know, and that's
We're a little different.
yeah, and then one thing we found out that every floor is different, and we're talking with Cindy Penny, who's the head nurse there, about uniforming the whiteboards in the whole hospital and having a section that's already for discharge, disposition, discharge date. Because right now someone has to manually write it in every, you know.
Actually, I drew a diagram. You know, the patient was going on a cholecystectomy.
Yeah.
So I wiped up stuff. The nurse got offended that I wiped up her stuff.
Yeah. Well. Did you autograph pictures? Yeah. And you know, as part of the MDR processing, really the whiteboard is the nurse to fill it in while you're rounding. So, you know, as you're rounding and you're saying what the plan for the day is, what the plan for discharge, they're supposed to be writing it on the board. I mean, your goal is to make sure it gets done. And if it's not, I mean, you need to tell the nurse, hey, get a marker, write this down. Because that's one of the biggest barrier that I see is the whiteboard. We're just not used to it. And I know everyone has their script. Yeah, when they see a patient, they have their script, how they're, you know, working the room. We just have to really focus on getting the whiteboard incorporated. And even if you have to like stop, tell the nurse, you need to write this down, but they need to get in the habit of writing it down. It gets them involved and engaged in the conversation also.
It's like a different kind of whiteboard, which has a little bit space, diagnosis, and that's all that I need.
Yeah.
Two diagnosis,
I know.
Discharge when they're going to go.
Right. I wish I could snap my fingers and make it happen.
No.
Yeah, it is on the discussion with the hospital about at least unifying the whiteboards throughout, because yeah, every floor has something different. You're just like, yeah. And so this week, it's kind of moving on. This week has been another RIE for the MDR. So this was a much shorter, more focused. This week we're focusing more on the ancillary services. The last time was really kind of like revamping the prep, the huddle, the rounding. This week it's been focused on like getting on PT/OT. So with discussion with PT and OT, they're now going to be at every MDR huddle. So there should be, it's summertime, some are on maternity leave, some are vacations, so scheduling is a little tricky, but for the most part, every huddle, there should be at least one PT or OT at the huddle helping out with the plan. Also, there are basically not, like, from a social worker standpoint, they split the step down to 3 different social workers have step down, and talking to the people who are zoned there, it's really helpful having a social worker at the meeting. So now the Team A is going to start at 9:45 and Team B is going to start at 10 o'clock. And the reason is for the change that, for example, Julianne is on 3 West social worker. She will be there at 9:30, and then she'll go to the zone huddle at 9:45. That way she can cover both zones and have their input. Because there's 3 social workers, they're going to rotate. Every week is going to be a different social worker. So that way they all communicate with each other. That make sense? Okay. And also we're starting, we have visual management tools. We'll be piloting on 4 West next week. I know, Dante, can you hear me? Probably not here. He's on the call.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So we're piloting this on your floor. I know Megan, we talked about last time, but we worked on the board today. So when you start next week, they'll probably be in full force. Just kind of give you a heads up.
All right, great.
You're a guinea pig. All right. All right. The other thing I had a meeting with respiratory therapy about ambulatory oximetry. I know it's a big barrier on getting patients discharged, especially when they're ordered the day of the discharge, and you're like, what's taking so long? They don't get done until like 3 or 4 o'clock, and then you got to wait for the home health oxygen to be set up. So kind of understanding the process, basically there's only one, it has to be done by respiratory therapy, And there's only one respiratory therapist who does it, who also does pulmonary function tests. So they're kind of like different jobs. So to help with the flow, first of all, when you do an ambulatory oximetry, it's good for 48 hours. So it doesn't have to be on the day of discharge. So part of discharge planning, try to order ambulatory oxygen at least the day before. It also helps them, so if it's ordered the day before, it's routine, they can get it done anytime fit in the schedule. If you are ordering on the day of discharge, then it needs to be clearly marked on the order, and I'll show you how to do that. And that way, what they will do is, if the person doing it is in lab, can't get to the floor, they'll communicate with the respiratory therapist for that floor and be like, hey, there's ambulatory, pain discharge, can you please do it? They will do it when they're done with their morning meds or their meds. So that's, so the earlier you get the order in, if you do it the day before, even better. But that's how we'll help with the communication. Hopefully that helps speed up the process.
I think there are short staff, so that's
I don't know, they didn't mention anything about that, but I feel like everyone's short-staffed.
So, I mean, if you put like a pending discharge, the same day, don't they tend to do it. Sometimes if you put everything the day prior, they will probably do it by next day afternoon.
But no, if you order routine, it'll get done that day, but it's like, okay, a meeting, it doesn't have, you don't need the results that day. So it's really the best thing to do is with your planning to do it the day before. If you are, sorry, I just made some screenshots. If you are ordering on the day of discharge, so where it says routine, just click on that, and then you can pop up, there's actually a discharge pending box that you can click on. All right? And then also in the comments, you can write discharge pending. Definitely let the nurse know, because they will then communicate with the respiratory therapist that, hey, this is discharge pending patient, we need this done as soon as possible. Any questions about that? Hopefully that'll speed up the process a little bit. Try and get these bottlenecks. All right. Activity orders. So this has come up. There's it's very common patients are on strict bed rest in terms of activities. Try and find out where this starts. A lot of it starts in the ER, both as bridging orders or the admission orders. That's a separate conversation of trying to figure out. But what's happening is because of that, PT technically cannot work the patient, OT cannot work the patient, nurses technically cannot get the patients up out of bed. They do, but technically they're not supposed to. And PT/OT, what they have to do is either A, they just write a note saying, hey, can't see the patient, and they move on, or they call the nurse, and the nurse has to call the doctor, change the order. So you can see it causes disruption on the process. And from the patient standpoint, the longer in the bed, the more weak they get.
More likely they go to a nursing home.
Exactly, right. So, and we think that, kind of talking with some of the people who've been here for St. Mary's for a long time, we think that this culture started when people refer to falls, they put everyone on strict bed rest. And so they're like, oh, they're on bed rest, you're not going to fall. And I think that's how a lot of this started. So we're trying to stop this, all right? So just to kind of give you an idea, in the ICU, even the patients on pressors, they're still getting them up and walking them, while they're on the pressor. So even though that they're that sick, they're still getting them up out of bed. If they're on the bed, they're still at least getting them sitting up on in the chair. So it can be done. So just kind of keep that in mind. So strict bed rest, obviously the post-procedure, CAP, LP, that's different situation. But if you truly feel that them getting up out of bed is going to be harm to them or dangerous, then put strict bed rest. Otherwise, you got fall precautions. You can put ambulate with assistance. So if you're admitting a patient, just be mindful of this. If you're getting a patient from overnight, just look at the orders to see what the activity level is. Part of the MDRs is they're supposed to incorporate this as part of the discussion with the nurse, in terms of the activity. So we do have some checks and balances. These things don't get missed, but I just want to make it aware to you guys, so you're on the front line, to look, know what to look for. So just say no to strict bed rest. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so I just want to go over some other hospital data. This is all good stuff. Our 30-day readmission numbers there. So the hospital goal is 0.88, but from a sound at risk, we're looking at 0.99. So we're trending down, and we're doing well there. So keep that up. Length of stay, we're at 1. But this is all 1-year accumulation. And the hospital goal is 0.9, but we're trending down, so that's, oops, there you go, there's my arrow. So continue with that. We're seeing, I think December was the flu season. You see everything spikes in December. We look at these charts, and everything comes back down. So it's kind of that wonderful flu season we went through. Mortality ratio index, I mean, we've always been at phenomenal, so I'm not even a believer of this one. Talking about the patient experience or top box, we're at 76%. There was that dip down in May, I'm not sure, but I mean, we are trending back up. So that is good news. So hopefully that's a trend we can continue. All right, weighted PACU. This time I got the U in there. So you can see back in May, so this is like basically a mathematical equation based on where they're going. You want to see LTAC is weighted higher versus rehab and SNF versus home. So you can see in May our score jumped up to 36.8. But since then we're on the down slope. So that's all very good. That's good. Well, lower is better. Yeah. And this is why, I mean, in case you haven't noticed, we're doing a lot more. You know, it's like back in June, we started talking about this a lot more, and you can see why in May we're going in the wrong direction. So we should kind of like start talking more about this and getting the transitional care notes in, and so that's good. Why this is going on? So basically, over the past couple months, we had a decrease in this top box is home, so kind of trending down. Number of patients going home, number of patients going to rehab and SNF was going up, and now in June or in July, we've kind of turned that back up. So, there we go. I like my little animation. All right. So this is the next final thing to talk about is kind of this one barrier of home health. Basically we had this perceived that notion that the home health didn't have the resources to really help the patients, being more than 3 days a week of therapy. And so we sat down with the home health, and they have revamped their program. They've hired on about 17 plus 17 therapists. So they're loaded and ready to serve, ready to give more services to patients. So one thing that's what's nice about working with a multi-site program is that one program started this S4 model, this home health model. Tiffany, I don't know where to start from. I kind of blocked it out, Tiffany's there. So you have the handout there. It's starting in Cincinnati. It's an S4 model. You think about it, it makes sense. Basically, you're selecting the level of home health that the patient needs. So if you look at it, there's 4 different levels, hence the S4. You have your standard, which is kind of what we've used in the past of home health. Then you have safety, or something for safety, concern for social, if you have a patient who's very sick. And we're going to start incorporating this. I've already talked with the case manager, home health, and everyone's on board with this. So we're going to kind of go over a little more detail about this and how you can order it for your patient. I know, Shantya, this is what you're asking about earlier today.
We actually have SmartFrame is built in Epic.
Yeah.
So the doc can, like, literally, all I have to do is say, like, I want a safety.
It's still in my Thunder system.
Yeah.
I already created it. We'll go over that.
They didn't have to write anything else
No.
besides, like, safety.
Right.
Safety level somehow. Yeah.
So maybe this is what we're saying, 4 levels of home health. Dante, I'll send on the email, we'll have all of it listed out, but it's going to be broken down right now. So the standard, this is kind of what we use as like our mental, like normal, like send PTOT to evaluate the patient, we'll follow up with the doctor in 7 days, medication reconciliation. This is kind of like what we consider a standard home health evaluation. So then you get into a social. So I bolded on the bottom there. This is what makes it different than the standard. All right. So the social level, you get social worker involvement. So again, they look at resources for assisted living facility, independent living facility, LTAC, aging referral, dietitian. So there's a lot more social support for the family. So like the typical patient would be your old grandma with grandpa, like they can walk okay at home, but you're concerned about them, just social-wise, being at home by themselves, they don't have as much support. So that's kind of like a typical patient you might think about from a social standpoint.
The social ones are also good. I don't know if your physical therapist writes this here, but 24-hour supervision or SNF.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those, I think, are more social institutions, SNF, because they're alone, right? Like they don't have anybody there with them. And so this was part of that social aspect is those the 24-hour supervision.
Yeah.
Which is the most fascinating. At first, like, what is it even?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, and I've been meeting with therapy, and they're going to change their terminology in their notes to a little more clear. Right now, it's very vague what they're saying. The reason why they moved away from that in the past, they were very specific on the recommendations, but then there was issues on if the patient didn't go to what they recommended. There's a lot of is it safe to do that? But I mean, we're doctors. We can just, you don't have to follow what they say. You can decide. You take their recommendation. You can decide. You just document. Document that. So safety level. This is now what's different about here is now you have a front loading of your therapy services. So now they can get therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy for 5 days. So every day they get therapy, and then it tapers down. So again, you look at, well, why would I send someone to SNF? Initially thinking SNF, you get therapy every day. Well, now you get therapy every day at home. So
this is really targeted towards the elderly, tall people.
Right.
So the people who are really sick, but they come in and they sell at home, and they're like,
the weakness, the fall, and
and they're not eating well.
Right. And finally, the sick is again front loading. The therapy, but also now you have front loads and a lot more concentrated nurse visits or phone calls, palliative care referral, and I've already talked about the home health. They have I think 3 or 4 palliative care nurses, and they want more business. So, with this will definitely increase their outpatient palliative care referral. And also you see these are like the sick patients. I mean, readmissions, the heart failure, COPD patients, and you follow up the primary care doctor within 3 days. And so this is really more of your acute sick patients. So again, smart phrases. This is so you all order it. So you just type in home health, and it comes up inpatient consult for home health. Click on that order, which is what we do anyways for home health orders right now. But then what you do is go down in the comments, and so basically in the comment section you just write ... HH for home health safety, home health sick, home health social, or standard, whichever one you want, and it drops everything that's on that sheet. Just lists it all out. You don't have to do anything else. That's it. By making these like an easy button, so you have to hit HH. And so that will be sent to the home health agency, and then they will take all those orders and they will proceed with that.
So what would be the standard?
So it's on the other sheet there. The ones that are
That's just like your normal home health now. Like your patient who's fairly healthy, maybe they have a surgery.
Yeah. And they're okay with therapy coming out 2 or 3 times a week is fine, or.
So I noticed that when we used to do home health, there used to be like a.
The face-to-face?
Yeah. So
I don't think it's face-to-face anymore.
Yeah, it's empty.
Right. So basically you put that under the comment. Yeah, so just type it, kind of like a dot circle, .hhs. Then once you hit the S, all 4 of them pop up, and you can. And I've already shared this with everyone on your smart phrases.
They probably aren't doing the face-to-face anymore, so they're referring them back to the primary care physicians to sign them.
Okay.
You'll get your signing for the initial order, but for like the treatment plan, they're going to go to PCP for that.
Okay.
So that's why it's really important specifically.
Does this make sense? You guys like this?
The face-to-face is available for primary care.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
But I mean, my thought is that we are renting before that.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't.
I mean, you can. I mean, it's a separate bill, but you can. I mean.
It's like 37.
Face-to-face.
Well,
It's usually primary care docs like to
Yeah.
go for it, so we typically just let them have a couple of, this is for this.
So, do you guys, any questions about this? You guys think this is cool?
Usually,
You all excited about this? Come on, let's get
yeah,
it.
we know that it's covered by the insurance, so. It's home health.
It's home health, right?
No matter what. So here's what happens is if you write the order, they will send the person out to evaluate the medical necessity. And if they can't justify the medical necessity, they won't continue to provide services. But if they can, then they'll put together a treatment plan that goes to the primary care doc, and the primary care doc will basically continue. But yeah, you order it for somebody and they go out, they're not gonna get paid, trust me. They won't continue
Yeah.
to go out, so that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Medicare likes home care.
Yeah, patients like home care, and I mean, it's, patients, you know, they want to go home, and so, you know, now with this robust, you know, intensive home health, like, I'm hoping you guys feel more comfortable sending patients home with this higher level of intense home health. Just remember, home, less risk of falls, it's their own environment, less risk of nosocomial infections, less risk of delirium. So again, you know, kind of, why would you choose a SNF over home health? Again, I think it really comes down to, if they truly don't have any home support, then obviously, I mean, you can't send home, you know. So, and it's not saying that we're not saying anyone to SNF anymore, but I just want, that line between SNF and home health is kind of getting more thin and thin here. So, you know, now with this, you know, I'm hoping you guys feel more comfortable, say, okay, we can send them home, and they'll get therapy every day, but, you know, for at least the next 5 days. So they feel more comfortable, they are getting that intensive therapy, and they're going home. So.
And Dr. Emerson and Dr. Brady went to PT and explained the S4 model, and we went to case management this morning to.
They're all excited about it.
Aware of the availability of the.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's, well, I think everyone's shocked, like, about, back like home health, like, oh yeah, we can get 5 days a week. They're like, oh, like, you know, and that was kind of like a news for all of us, even at the meeting of the home health. Like, oh yeah, we've been, apparently some orthodox have already been starting doing that, so they've already been, you know, starting that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's an order coming.
Okay. To be continued. All right. Any questions? I know kind of close. Dave, any questions there?
Good, fine. It's fine.
Dante, you good?
In Cincinnati, like 18 months ago, we have level 3 as our biggest. We send about 85 patients out per hospital with 5 hospitals there. About 85 patients out with level 3 a month.
The safety? Yeah.
Because all those patients were going to skilled nursing facilities because they were found out, like patients found out.
Yeah.
And how many times do you get those admissions and you're like, they're not sick. They don't even need to be here, to be quite honest. They don't need inpatient status.
Right.
I know they need to go to a nursing home. And it was a really good option for us for those types of.
Yeah.
Because like today, with Dr. Huntley's patient, there's a unsafe patient on us too, same thing, with the fall, they want to SNF, but I'm like, her home situation is not going to change. What is SNF going to do? So the home is the problem. So let's see if the home is really unsafe. Or transition to long-term. But, yeah.
I just want to leave that up so you guys can see.
The PT says we need to do like SPO and S4.
So what they'll put down intensive home health. They'll use that term, like, you know, if they think that they need like the front loading like 5 days, they'll put in their note. It should be intensive home health is kind of like their buzzword, or they may say intensive home health. You know, if there's family support. If not, then
So if it's intensive, then I go with what?
Maybe safety or sick is like intensive. Yeah, those are the two that have the front loading. That's why I keep saying most of them are under the safety. I mean, the sick ones, I think you'd be more think of like medical sick, you know, the partial air.
Are the ones that are more like the palliative care,
right.
Like maybe they're not quite sick enough.
They've been readmitted multiple times, or like they need like nursing. They need nurses to see them every day or call every day. Yeah, they're right. Like those are like the sick patients that. Yeah, we all know that.
And that just makes sense where we used to do face-to-face, right? Yeah.
So yeah, the face-to-face is gone. So the comment section is actually blank right now. So you open it up, type that in, and like I said, the smart phrase is shared with everyone already. So you guys can start that today if you want to.
But it doesn't affect the discharge,
No, I mean, it's just, preferably if you order this before, sooner than later, the day before or sooner, so that way the home health, they can get everything set up, but to try and make this easy for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right. Thank you, Don. Robin Dean, close it out. Tomorrow.
That was very thoughtful.